Hi, my name is Laura Fernandez. In this lesson I will be explaining basic shooting techniques. Understanding these audiovisual rules will help you to define a shot list for fiction or documentary projects. First of all, why do we use different shots when filming? Cinema is supposed to imitate real life, but it doesn't usually show filmic reality with a continuous shot. Quite on the contrary, it fractions actions into different shots that are linked by editing afterwards. Why does this happen? The goal is to point the audience's attention to whatever is important in the scene. For instance, a man enters a cafeteria, nervous, with a gun in his pocket. If we see everything in a continuous long shot, we might get distracted by people in the background, or we might miss his facial expression or his hand in his pocket. But if we start the scene with a long shot, placing the man in the cafeteria, cut to a close-up of his face, and then cut to a close shot of his hand getting the gun, everything is clear to the audience. They won't miss the point of this part of the film. This also works in documentaries or news reports. If we are filming an interview, we want the audience to see the person who talks, the interviewer, their reactions to a particular topic. Maybe we want to insert a shot of whatever they are talking about or presenting the space they are in if they make a reference about it. This is why the point of this lesson is to explain the different types of shots, so that when we design our shot list, it would suit the goal of the scene we are filming. First of all, we need to learn about framing and composition. Framing is essential. We need to choose the reality we want to show in our film. Everything inside the frame must be relevant because the audience will be trying to find a meaning to whatever is shown on the film, and we want to show it in the most appealing way. Note that all film frames are horizontally displayed. If you shoot with a mobile phone, you must tilt it to avoid vertical frames. Then there is a film rule you need to know, the rule of thirds. First, we divide the frame in horizontal and vertical lines. A character's eyes must be positioned in the top vertex. If a character looks to the right, his eyes should be positioned on the left corner. If he looks to the left, his eyes should be positioned on the right corner. This way, if we cut from one character to another, their eye lines will match. If there are other relevant elements in the image, other than eyes, they should be placed on the lower thirds. In conclusion, we need to place relevant items on the main four corners. Horizons need to be placed on the horizontal thirds, and vertical lines should match vertical thirds. If we want to underline depth or diagonal lines, we need to join opposite corners of the top and bottom thirds. As you may see, the central box or central, horizontal or vertical line is avoided. Then we need to learn about size. Long shots present the whole body of a subject, and it gets to show the space he or she is in. It is usually used to start scenes, as it helps the audience to understand the mise-en-scène. These ways, when we fraction the scene into smaller shots, the audience will not get confused. They will know where everybody is. Medium shots focus on a subject's head to his hands. This way it can show what he or she is doing, or we can present him in a double shot while he talks to someone else. Medium close-up presents the subjects from head to chest. It presents him objectively while he talks about non-personal topics or while he concentrates on doing something, for example. Close-up focuses on the face, and it can chop out his forehead. This is to underline his emotions, to present him subjectively. Let's see some examples. In a long shot, we can concentrate on the harsh environment and the effort these men are realizing. A medium shot, here we can see a mother and her child while doing something together, in a two shots. A medium close shot of a concentrated child while doing something, and then a close-up of a smiling child. There can also be close-ups of objects too, so as to focus on a detail. Last but not least, when we design our shot list, we must start our scenes with long shots and gradually reduce sizes to close-ups. This is because scenes normally end with emotional reactions to whatever happens in them. We might stay for a while on medium shots as the characters talk about neutral stuff, but change to close-ups when they start talking about important or emotional topics. Then we need to understand where to place our camera regarding the subjects. Subjects are usually shown in a three-quarter perspective. We get to see both sides of his face, but the subject's eye line avoids the camera. He looks diagonally instead. We can show it individually or in an over-the-shoulder shot. This way we can relate the position of one subject to another, and we can engage to the listener, the one that is shown from his back. Sometimes we can use a frontal perspective, although the subject should avoid looking to the camera, or a rear perspective that presents his back. This last way allows the audience to engage the character as it sees nearly the same as he does. Regarding perspective, it is essential to understand the 180-degree rule. When we are filming a scene, we need to make sure that all our shots are taken from the same side of the subjects. If there are two characters, one should always look to the right and the other to the left if they are talking to each other. The easiest way to make sure that we achieve this is to imagine that there is an imaginary line between the two subjects. If we start the scene with a camera position that is at one side of that line, we need to keep all our camera positions on that same size. We can place the camera on top of that imaginary line, presenting a frontal or a rear perspective of the subject, but we can't cross the line. If we do so, the character will appear to look in the same direction as the other one. This also applies when a subject walks from one place to another. There is an imaginary line between him and his destination, and the camera positions can't cross it. If we do so, the character will seem to change the direction of his movement. Last but not least, about perspective, we need to decide camera height. We can shoot a character with the camera at his eye level, below his eye level, or above it. When we present people with the camera at his eye level, we are trying to engage audience with his or her emotions. If we present them with a high-angle shot, we are kind of crushing them to the ground. They are presented as weak or powerless. When we use a low-angle shot, they appear strong and powerful. We can combine different angles in a scene, although when two people speak to each other, they are presented with similar frames: size, perspective, and angle. Finally, it is important to remind that whenever you're shooting, you need to see the location in advance and to write down your shot list. Maybe you can draw a rough storyboard before filming. This will help you to avoid breaking some of the rules we have mentioned here. Thank you for your attention.